my world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be I think it's called the end of the year book tag. I've been seeing a lot of people doing this tag recently and was like, I can do that, so why not? I believe it was created by Ariel Bissett. I will link everything down below, including the questions. I have them printed out. Let's just dive right in because I've got a lot of books. It's kind of a nightmare on my floor next to me. Question 1, are there any books you've started this year that you still need to finish? Yes. I start a lot of books and I do have a stack here that I would love to finish by the end of the year. We're gonna see how that goes. The first one being The Impusium by Olga Tokarczuk. I started this one on vacation when we went to Connecticut. I'm over halfway through it, so I just need to finish this one. This one takes place in the early 1900s and it's about a man that has tuberculosis and he goes away to a health resort to try to basically just like feel a little bit better. And as soon as he gets there, he realizes that like something is going wrong. And so far, I still have no idea what's actually happening, even though I'm that far through it. We're really just kind of following him and then other people that are at this health resort and also like the little surrounding town where there's like a lot of weird stuff happening. And every once in a while, the writing will like pull back. And instead of being from his perspective or about him, it's very obviously that we're reading from the perspective of something watching him. I don't know what's going on, but I'm really enjoying it, so I need to finish this one. I started my reread of Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice, and I read like the first section until it got to a little break, so I want to finish my reread of this one. I haven't read this one in a very long time, but I just was in the mood to kind of give it a reread and then maybe read Vampire Lestat. I'm not sure. I know that as the books go on through the series, they get crappier, as what people said, but I think I know this one's good because I've read it before, but I think Vampire Lestat is also worth reading. That's what I want to do, but I really need to finish this one. I started Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I read the first like 50 pages of this one, and I would really like to continue on and finish this one before the end of the year. This one takes place in the 1300s, something around that time, and it's at a monastery where someone has died, and there's a lot of like, we don't really know how they died, but a lot of really weird circumstances surrounding it where we're not sure if the person did it to himself or if he was kind of pushed out of a window. We're not really sure. You're following different monks as they are trying to navigate and solve one murder, and while they're trying to solve that one, other stuff starts happening, and I just think I'm really going to enjoy it, so I need to continue on. This one's from the library. I started reading this one on vacation as well. This is The Book of Witches. This is a collection of short stories and poems all about witches. I've read a handful of them so far. I would like to go through and read at least the ones from authors that I recognize and maybe read some from authors that I haven't read from before, and then this has to go back to the library. So I just would like to be able to read enough of it that I can mark it off as like, cool, I picked that one up, I read what I wanted to, done. We have a nonfiction that I started that I would love to finish by the end of the month. This one is 1599, A Year in the Life of William Shakespeare by James Shapiro. I read up until chapter 1 and then put it down, and then we went on vacation and I haven't picked it back up, but I would really, really love to finish reading this one. It's all just about that year in Shakespeare's life. I started and then put down just to read other things, Human Rights by Juno Dawson. This is the third and final book in the Her Majesty's Royal Coven trilogy, which is set in the UK, and it's just a group of witches. There's different covens. It was started with I think Anne Boleyn, I think so, I can't remember, and I read the first two, really liked them. I read the novella, also really liked it. This one came out this year and I immediately purchased it, so I need to finish this one and be done with that series. And the one that I started probably the earliest and haven't finished yet is Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean. When we went to the beach in like June or July, I took this with and was reading it on the beach, and I don't have a bookmark in it, I got to right there. So almost halfway through, I just need to pick it back up and finish it and not take it into the next year. And then the final one, this one I know will get finished, is The Haunting of Alma Fielding by Kate Summerscale. This one is another nonfiction, and it is all about this woman, Alma Fielding, that started experiencing something that seems like a poltergeist, and it follows her and the researcher investigator that is following her to try to determine if she's making it up or if it's actually happening. This takes place in London in 1938, and I am halfway through it now because there's a section at the back that's all like supplemental material. I'm halfway through it. This is the one that I take with every Sunday when my husband and I take coffee and books to the local park and sit and read for a little bit. So I just read some more this morning because today is Sunday, and I know that I will finish this one over the next couple weeks. And then the final one that I've started that I don't have any plans to finish by the end of the year, but I just want to make more progress in it, is another massive nonfiction. This one is A Distant Mirror by Barbara Tuchman. This one is all about the 14th century, and it is large, and I've read the first couple chapters, so I'm right here. I would just like to continue reading a couple more chapters before the end of the year, and then I know this is one that I'm going to be reading throughout next year as well. And then I have one on my Kindle that I need to finish. I started The Warden by Anthony Trollope. I read more last night. I'm officially halfway through. It's not that long of a book. It's just taking a long time for me to get through it. So I'm going to continue to read that one like a couple chapters at a time and get that one done. The second question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? So I read a lot of horror recently. That's what I've been reading. I just read and finished the third book, I don't know if it's only a trilogy, from T. Kingfisher, What Stalks the Deep, or What Stalks the Dark, something like that. And I really, really loved it. That one takes place in a cave, and it was just amazing. I love T. Kingfisher. That was the most recent like spooky one. And then on my Kindle right now, I'm reading The Midwich Cuckoos by John Wyndham. I've never read anything by John Wyndham before, and I'm having a great time with that one. Really, really loving it. That one is about a small town called Midwich, where one day something happens and everyone in the town goes unconscious. And there's like a very obvious dividing line where like we're following this couple and they can't get back into their house. The army is there and they're like, no, you guys can't come in, something's going on, you're gonna have to go stay in another town in a hotel and we'll let you know when everything's good. And they're like, nah, screw that, let's cut through this field. And as soon as they get to that line, which is not like a visible line, but as soon as they get there, they collapse. And right now we're just trying to figure out what the hell caused it, and there's been a new twist of what happened to all of the women in the town, and it's wild. I'm loving the writing. I didn't know if I was going to enjoy John Wyndham's writing, but I am really enjoying it, so I need to finish that one. And then I have a couple other books that I've got, 2 from the library and 1 other witchy book. So I really want to read O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker, which is about a murder. And then I also want to read The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro, which is a La Llorona inspired story. So these 2 are like some of the final spooky books that I plan on reading for the end of the year. At least ones that are like obviously spooky. I'm sure I will read other weird stuff, but these are just the 2 from the library that I would really like to get to. And then I also need to read this one, which is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I read the first book in this like super cute series that she's doing. I don't think any of these books are actually related. They're just very cute. The first one was The Very Secret Society of Regular Witches. I read that when it came out and I loved it. So this one just came out and I've been hearing very good things. So I bought this one like right away, and it's for Sydney's Patreon book club. This is the pick for October, so I need to read this one because it's now November 2nd or 3rd and I haven't read it yet. The third question is, are there any new releases that you're still waiting for? There's a handful of new releases from 2025 that I just haven't gotten to yet. I need to read Queen Demon, which is the second book in the new series from Martha Wells. I read the first book when it came out, Witch King, and really loved it. Queen Demon just came out and I haven't read it yet, so I need to read that one. I just got from the library Vagabond by Tim Curry, which is his memoir. I'm gonna be reading that one. I am very excited but also sad that the final book in the KJ Sutton Fortuna Sworn series comes out, and I'm so sad for it because I've been loving that series so much. That's like a paranormal romance, romantasy kind of fantasy story, and I've been loving it, and it's book 6 and I'm so sad, but I am caught up, so I will be getting that one and reading it. The third book in the Megan Bannon Heart and Mercy paranormal fantasy romance series came out, so I need to read that one. What else came out? Those are the ones that I'm like thinking about. In terms of what's coming out later in November or December, other than Fortuna Sworn, I'm not really sure. I was like waiting for these last couple ones to come out, but I will be keeping an eye out for any others. Number 4 is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Okay, y'all, I could not narrow it down to 3, so we have a bunch. I'm just gonna show you these. There are books that I really don't want to go into 2026 and still not have read them. The first one I forgot to grab, it's on the shelf in the hallway, is The Two Towers by Tolkien. I read The Hobbit years and years ago, multiple times. I read The Fellowship of the Ring. I started The Two Towers, and I got up to the point where they meet the Riders of Rohan, and then I put it down and I've never finished it, and I need to finish at least the second book in The Lord of the Rings, because this is crazy that I've been a reader for how long, a fan for how long, and have never actually read the damn book. I've read a ton of other work from Tolkien. I've just not read The Lord of the Rings, so I need to read that one. I really need to read this one, which is the first in a historical fiction series, The Cazalet Chronicles. This one is The Light Years by Elizabeth Jane Howard. I will probably be picking this one up closer to December because it just feels like I know it's not a Christmas book, but because this is like a sprawling family historical thing, I really want to read it in December when it's like Christmassy, primarily because Lauren from Lauren in the Books absolutely loves this series and she's obsessed with Christmas, and so in my head this is related to Christmas even though it's not. I also really want to read Pet by Catherine Chigi. This one I bought because Jen Campbell and Lauren both thought it was incredible, and so I purchased it in this like stack of books that I got that were inspired by the two of them, and I haven't gotten to it yet, so I really need to. This one is about like a teacher's pet. I really want to read the second book in the Greenwild series by Perry Thompson. This one is The City Beyond the Sea. This one is a middle grade series about plant magic, and I read the first one and absolutely loved it, so I immediately went and got the second one and then didn't read it, so I need to read this one. The third one is out. I don't know how many there are going to be. I don't know if it's only a trilogy, but I really need to read it. I really need to read The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff because I've heard amazing things about this one and it just seems like a lot of fun, and I just don't want to have this one sitting on my shelf as still unread when I go into the new year. I've never read Oliver Twist and I really want to rectify that, so even though I started the Pickwick Papers and was thinking about picking up Bleak House, I think the next Dickens that I'm going to read is Oliver Twist, also because I watched a documentary or an episode of Time Team where they were talking about the Victorian workhouse and how it inspired Dickens to write Oliver Twist because he lived somewhere where he could see the like infamous workhouse, and after watching that I really want to read this one. I also really need to read the His Dark Materials trilogy by Philip Pullman. I've read The Golden Compass, I think twice already, and I just never continued on, but I absolutely want to. This is just a trilogy that I don't want to sit on my shelf unread, and just one that I don't want to take into another year of never having read it. I have this big spreadsheet that I created of all of these authors and some like really well-known works that I want to work my way through. I would like to continue reading, and this is on there, and so I need to actually read this series. I need to read Black Water Sister by Zen Cho. This one has been on my shelf for a couple years and it has been on so many of my TBRs and I've never read it, and I think it's because I'm a little bit nervous about it. I think I'm really gonna like it, but this one is about a girl who starts hearing a voice in her head, and it's the voice of her dead grandmother, and her grandmother wants her to like complete some unfinished business that she has, and I just have a feeling that I'm really going to love it. But I was so close to my grandmother, and so anything that has to do with grandparents is like emotional for me to read, so I think that's partly why I haven't picked this one up, but I can't take this one into another year without having read it. That's ridiculous. This one, One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, I have not had on my shelf for very long, but similar to A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, I specifically bought it because I joined Sydney's Patreon and her book club, and this one I believe is the pick for November, so I absolutely need to read it. I also bought the Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst, which was, I think, September's pick, and I read that one, and then I bought the next two for, you know, the rest of the year. And I can't join another book club and spend money to be part of a book club or part of someone's Patreon and not follow through. So even though I haven't been super active in the Patreon the last couple weeks, I need to read these freaking books. I also really need to do my reread of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, because I bought this one, again, inspired by Lauren, who is absolutely obsessed with Daphne du Maurier. This is the only book by her that I have read, but I've just really been in the mood to reread it because it's been a long time, and so I bought this copy and I didn't pick it up, so I need to do that. I also have two huge fantasies that I bought this year that I really need to read. So one is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This one is the start of a new series, the Eternal Path trilogy. And so the other two books obviously are not out because this one just came out. It's huge, but I've heard incredible things. I think this would be the perfect time of year to read it. I went and bought it because I saw so many people reading it and I haven't picked it up. And then I have one that's on my list of like classic but not really fantasy and science fiction that I need to get to, and that is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch, which I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with. I've heard incredible things about it. I've just never read it. I've owned copies over the years and never picked it up, so I just really need to read this one. And the kind of final one that I want to talk about that I need to read by the end of the year is Little Women. I have started this book so many times. I have owned so many copies and I've never finished it, and Christmas is the perfect time to read Little Women because I know that it has a lot to do with Christmas. I'm up to page 56 and I haven't picked it up in a couple weeks. My husband really wants to watch the Greta Gerwig adaptation. He's seen it a couple times. I have never seen an adaptation of Little Women. I don't really know the full story, so I just need to finally get this one read. Similar to other ones that's on that giant spreadsheet of like, this is not a classic that I can take into the next year not having completed. Number 5 is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? I don't know that I have any books that I'm like, ooh, I think that could become my favorite book of the year, but I do have 2 nonfiction that I want to get to in November and December that I think I would just really, really enjoy. And the first one is this one by Lucy Worsley. This one is If Walls Could Talk, An Intimate History of the Home. Lucy Worsley is a historian from the UK. She wrote that giant Agatha Christie biography. She's written a book about Jane Austen. She hosts a bunch of different like TV specials. She's got a couple podcasts, and I just love her and I need to actually read some of her work. So I have this one, which is, I think is just going to be a very cozy nonfiction. And so I think I'm really going to enjoy this one, and I don't want to go into the next year without having read it. And then the other one that I have is this one, which is Uproar by Alice Loxton. This is Satire, Scandal, and Printmakers in Georgian London. I love Alice Loxton's writing. She is a historian. I read her newest book, which is 18, that came out last year, and that one is all about the lives of people throughout history in their 18th year and talking about what that means throughout history, like how the concept of a teenager has changed over history. And it was amazing. I had such a great time. This is the other book I have by her, and she has a new book coming out next year called Eleanor, and it looks beautiful. The cover looks incredible, and I'm so excited for it, but I don't want to take any unread history books into next year when like I don't want to pick up another history book by an author when I already have some of theirs unread on my shelf. So there's a couple authors like that. These are the 2 that I'm like very much wanting to start and read. I think I'm really going to enjoy them over the cold months. And then number 6, the final question is, have you already started making reading plans for next year? Of course I have. I have my reading journal, and then I have this little note card where I started writing down all of my different ideas that I have for reading things to do next year. So I have my goals for 2026 that I started on this page, and one of them is to finish A Distant Mirror, which is that huge book by Barbara Tuchman, finish Lord of the Rings. So if I could finish The Two Towers before the end of the year and then go into next year and read The Return of the King, amazing. I would love to read all of Dickens' work by the end of next year because I've had them on a separate shelf for years And the only one that I've read is Great Expectations and then A Christmas Carol and a couple of his short stories. I really need to finish all of his books. I want to read all of the books by Jane Austen. I've only read Pride and Prejudice, but I listened to a podcast episode with Lucy Worsley talking about Jane Austen, and I really want to just read all of her work. I want to read more history books next year than I read this year, so that I'll have a final number by the end of the year. I want to read more classics next year than I have read so far this year, which right now I'm very much in a classics mood, but for a big portion of the year I was not, so I did not read that many, so I don't think that will be that hard. Next year I want to try to tackle magical realism. So magical realism for me is very confusing. I've not really been exposed to a lot of it. It's not something that I ever had to read for like a college course or anything, and the magical realism that I've tried to read in the past or have read have made me feel really stupid because it's just not something that I fully grasp. But I did talk to a couple of my friends that are huge readers about magical realism, and so I think I have a better idea of it now. And so in 2026, I don't want to shy away from reading books that are magical realism because of my fear of it. I want, like, the only way I'm gonna get more comfortable with it or learn that I absolutely hate it is if I continue trying. And then kind of the final, like, actual goal that I have is to read prize winners. So I don't typically pick up books because they've won a prize. I've in the past had ideas of like, I want to read women's prize books. I want to read Booker Prize books. I've read some Nebula Award winners, things like that. It's more so that whatever the book is about, I think is cool. And then I see if it won a prize, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I would really actually like to participate in the next year with like the women's prize and the Booker Prize and all of that, because I love watching people's vlogs where they do read through them and it seems like they have such a great time. And I would love to be someone that can have predictions for like an award. I don't know how you get to that point where people feel confident enough that they're like, oh, I understand this award, I think this could be on the list. I'm not there yet. I would love to get there. And then I have this little note card that has authors that are very, very well liked that I've never read from, so I would like to read from. We have Ali Smith, Ann Patchett, Coco Mellers, Colm Tobin, Atesha Moshfegh, Rachel Yoder, Sally Rooney, Mona Awad, Taylor Jacobs Reid, Kat Dunn, Miriam Toews, Rachel Kushner, Sarah Moss, Marilyn Robinson. I've never read anything from any of them. And I did have one on here, but I actually did read one of her books. I just read it and absolutely loved it. Claire Keegan was on that list. I can mark her off the list now because I've read her. And I have The Fell by Sarah Moss from the library on my Kindle to read, so I can knock her off. And then I have like specific books. So Tender is the Flesh, I really want to read. The Dream Hotel, I really want to read. The English Patient, Orbital. That's it. Those are the ones that I have written down. So those are the ones that I really want to read. This is a lot. I have a lot of books in my brain right now, a lot of books that I would like to read before the end of the year. I need to film kind of my November TBR right after this, but I wanted to come on here and do this tag. If you haven't done this tag, I'm tagging you. If you've done a video, please link it down below, or you can just answer the questions down below and let me know what you are hoping to read for the end of the year. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.